Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new here. I have such an exciting video for you. It took a lot of prep, I have to admit, but I have such an exciting video for you, and as you can tell, I have figured out 100 plus ways in which to use your Wonderland 222 planners. The good thing about Wonderland 222 planners is they are more or less exactly the same when it comes to how they're styled. So I will be taking you through the A5 all-in-one, but please note that there is so many ways that you can use these planners. This was inspired by Planning Annie, who did 60 plus ways to use the Hobonichi Cousin Planner. But I thought, you know what? These are a perfect example of it doesn't matter what size you get, you're going to get the same value out of it, and you can use them in those ways. So firstly, as you know, my planner stack for this year, I have an A6 Wonderland 222, and this is specifically for my book log, and I have ways in which I'm using that, and I have shown that before, but I will go through some of the ways as well in a bit. This is the thinner one where you get... They don't have an all-in-one actually for the A6, which hopefully they might do next year, because I think that would be really good. You do get daily pages, but you only get a few of them, but they're not dated, so that's fine. I've got my B6. I've got the thinner planner with less daily pages. This is primarily for my stationery shop. Then I've got my B6 all-in-one, which... this will definitely be a reflection of what's in here, because this has got daily pages and a lot of them, but it also has, this is going to be for self-care. It is the same. It's the same inside. So whatever I show you now in this planner is what is inside all of those. The only difference is this is unstacked. So the Saturday and Sunday are unstacked, and there is one column difference, and that is it. And that really isn't going to make a difference when it comes to how you use it. So I just thought I'd share some of the tools that I use on this Tomoe River paper. I use fountain pens. This is a TWSBI dupe from Amazon. I got 4 for like £30 or even less, I think. So, and it's great. This has got black ink in, and you twist it up to get, twist up the ink, and then you just use it as you want. This is a fine nib, and it's beautiful. I use Tomoe water-based pens. These are the ones with the brush end and the felt tip end. I also bought, for a much more affordable price, the Amazon Basics, and you've got a brush end, very similar, and a felt tip end. I think these are the most similar to the Tomoes, even though they're still not as good. I think that the end is still a little bit more flexible, but it's still great. I've got a Hobonichi Techo 2023 pen. This is the, I think it's Uniball, isn't it? Yeah, Uniball pen, and you get 3 colours in there. It's a 0.38 gel pen. I just find these write really well on Tomoe River paper. I have a Tomoe Fudenosuke brush pen, and I use this, I use for thin to give a bit of a blacker ink. I also use it as a brush pen. It's really beautiful. I have 2 of these. This is in the I feel like it's the fine brush pen. I didn't want it too thick. I have these that are the Zig colour by Kuretake. These are the clean colour dots, and they're, look, rounded at the top like this, so you can just do a dot as well as highlight if you need to. So I'll show you those in a bit, but I have like muted colours, which I really love. So let's get started. We are now at 4:25 minutes, and I still haven't shown you inside and even one of the ways. So let's go. So firstly, you start off with a blank page, as you do in all of them, and a front page. And then you have the key and you have the index. So here we go. Number 1, for the key, you can put a yearly brain dump. You could do a colour coding key if you wanted to. If you're using, say, a pen like this, and you've got different colours that you're using to log things, You could do a summary of 2023. So it might be a reflection of what happened in last year that you want to put in, just what's happened, just to bring you into the new year. You could do a reflections overall, you know, what about the year was good, what was challenging, you know, have a think about how you can, I feel like it's very much a reflective page. An about me page. In my journal last year, I did a spread where I spoke about me, and I kind of wanted to write down a bit more about who I was and why I wanted to plan. So I did that in the about me page. 10 achievable tasks. So every year I do this. I put 10 achievable tasks at the beginning of the year. Things that are not going to be difficult goals. They're very achievable. So it could be trying a new food that I don't like currently, which is sun-dried tomatoes. I just can't get on with them, but that would be one of my achievable goals. It might be try 3 new recipes. It might be read a non-fiction book, because I don't really do that often. So they're my 10 achievable tasks. I do that every year. Or it could be your word of the year. And I'll show you what that looks like. Let me do it like this so you don't see the other one. So this is my word of the year. So you could decorate the page. You could use stickers. You can do whatever you want. I've just put my word there. Could be your values. You might want to really dissect who you are, but what makes you you, and the values that you want to take into 2024. It might be some affirmation, things that you want to write in a list about, maybe what you want to repeat to yourself, something that's really important to you. Or it could just be a pen test page, which is the 10th thing for the key page. Okay, so on to number 11. The index. Well, it is what it is. It is what it says. And you might want to write that. You might be putting things in your daily pages, because there are a lot of them here, that you want to refer back to. It could be that you've written a list that you want to refer back to. You might have even written notes that you want to refer back to. If you're using this for things like school or for work, it might be that this is a very functional planner for you. So use it as an index. So I've put 2024 goal Wordle, and I don't think it's called a Wordle. It's that thing where you put you could put all your goals into that. There's like a little system, isn't there? And you know how you can print out that graphic where it's got like the main word, so you can work out what your main goal is or whatever that is. So you can have a graphic in there to help you with the goals. It might be you want to have monthly highlights. I'll show you and I'll probably be doing that in mine. I've photocopied pages, by the way. If you've seen my other videos, I do photocopy pages. So what I've done is I've got 12 gaps here, and for each of the gaps that I write in a highlight, so that it fills the page by the end of the year, but it really lets me focus like the main thing that happened in that month. Annual holiday doodle. You might want to draw something. You might be artistic. You might want to paint something. This paper is really good for painting. In fact, let me just show you in my Hobonichi. So I have painted pages before. I've used, there we go, I've used watercolours. So yeah, you might want to do that. Oh, if you only take like one holiday a year or something, you might want to put just a picture in or whatever. You might want to put your favourites in the index. So things that you've discovered during the year, things that you're enjoying, things that might have been your favourite that you want to change and swap out. Could be a gratitude log. You have got quite a few of these pages. Here we go, we've got 3. So it might be that you split it in half and do a gratitude log. It could be a sticker page. You want to add stickers. It might be that you've got stickers left over that you want to use, or there's particularly nice ones that you want to put in the front. Vision board for 2024. You may want to, if you're that sort of person that uses vision boards, you might want to use this area as a vision board. Or it might be a combination of any of these, really. Top 10s. I like to have like top 10 books, top 10, you know, it might be you want to reflect on the top 10s from last year, if you did it last year, and then say what it is this year. It might have changed, it might not have changed, could be anything. And then any of your favourite sort of stickers or shops that you're going to get things. So it might be that, especially in the stationery world, like some of my favourite shops are now no longer here. So I like to list down the shops. I also like to list down any discount codes. So it helps me to identify where I'm going, maybe put their link in, and if they're still open, and when they've got things coming up that are exciting, any deals, etc., if they've got a Facebook page. So it's worth, you know, really using these pages because they are blank, essentially. You've got that space, but it's very much for future things. So moving on. Right, we have a 4-year calendar. Calendars like this are really useful if you just want to see at a glance. Okay, I like to use things like this if it, like, genuinely, I'll be going, okay, so if we're planning a holiday for next year, we've got to save this amount of time, we've got this many paydays. It might be that I'm putting in all the school holidays or whatever. So I'll go through the ones that we've got on here. So we're currently at number, well, 23, I think it is now. Work schedule. You might want to, if you are somebody that does shifts, you might want to put your shifts in. So we do have 2023. Sorry, my dog's drinking in the background. We do have 2023. You might want to put in things from 2023 to see any patterns. But work schedule, it might be they say, oh, it's the same as 2023. So you'll put it in there and then add it in 2024. Or you might want to add in, and you might get your work schedule for next year as well. Any days off that you've got coming up, you could plot that in here. It might, again, it might be that in 2023, you had an amount of work days off. Maybe you get an extra one. Maybe you want to plan those off and just, I use these colour dot things. I'll show you in a minute. Holidays, vacation, you might want to plot when you are going away. It might be that your holidays overlap with somebody else's. Birthdays. Also, period tracker. This is a really good way of doing it. If you are somebody who wants to track your periods, it might be for a reason. Symptom tracker. Now, this is a really good one. So I thought if you put them in 2023, sometimes doctors don't listen to you and they want to see patterns. And you could say, well, I don't know, around April, May, I get really, really bad symptoms, and they'll be, oh, it must be seasonal, something like that. So you can track them, you can show patterns, and you can continue on for the next year if you want to, or you could use them for different things. It might be that that one's for symptom tracker and so is that one. And then this one's just for forward dates for school. And this is just to work out when people's birthdays are. You know, you've got some ideas. It might be that your 10th anniversary is in 2026. So you want to plan, you know, how many months till then. So you've got that. It could be a habit tracker. So again, using a color-coded system, you could say which of your habits you're doing and on which days. So you've got those. Payday tracker and budget. It could be a fitness tracker. Again, it might be that you do leg day one day, swimming one day, and you want to track that out. Or it could just be a countdown. So maybe you're getting married in 2026, so you know when you need to do things before the wedding. So you've got that. I usually use it and I mark off the days. I don't usually use it for anything else other than forward planning and working out when things are. Also, so these are, you know, I usually just go through the month and I'm like, oh yeah, that's happened. I just mark them off. Also for me, these dot pens are really, really good, especially in here. They're really good. On this paper, it's a lot lighter. Me and my wife have 3 of our children split with their other parent. So we like to track when we're going to have them. And especially when we've got the summer holidays or holidays coming up, we'll have them more than when they're at school because their school is near where their other parent is. So we will have them on alternative weekends, on alternative days. And also our eldest is with their grandparent once a month. So it means we've got date night. So we track that. It's really, really useful to have this because we can then identify those dates. Again, color coded with things like this. I do find this the most useful. And also if we wanted to plan anything special. So for example, if we've got a big birthday coming up, say I was 50 next year, for example. I'm not, but just say I was, I could then turn around and say, okay, so we definitely need to book this, and we need to book a dog sitter, for example. We need our children to go to somebody else, so we can plot that out. And I also put things like half terms and school breaks and stuff, but they are just, it isn't for writing. This is very much for planning and just seeing things at a glance, and I find them really, really useful. Okay, so you've got your yearly. Now, this is a really interesting one. It is more or less the same. You can do everything on here as you do here. However, things that I have used it for in the past are step trackers, period trackers. This is also a really good place to put it. Not just yours, though. If you are a family of girls, you might want to just track that and see what's happening. And not to catch anybody out, but to help with if we're feeling hormonal, if there's a way, you know, if we know if we can identify where our all our periods sort of lie, we know when to buy each other a bar of chocolate, for example, every damn day. So if, like here, you could put your steps in, and then you could see what your average steps are for a month. It could be a mood tracker. You might be saying like happy, angry, sad, for example. You might have a colour coding, or you might just write it in because you've got room to do that. Not just happy, angry, sad. You might have different moods that you put in there, but at least you've got a way of identifying that. You could do both. You could do period and you could do mood, and you could see where they overlap, and you see that really clearly on something like this. A reading log, and I do things like with a key. I really prefer to have keys. So I could say what audio, like an audiobook would be that, and say what it is, like put the title of what it is, whether I've started it, whether I've finished it, and if I'm continuing reading it on the way down. You might want to track calories. Again, that's numerical. Holidays, again, especially when you have a team of people that work with you. You may use this for work. You might use this for your team. If you have your own business, you need to know when things are happening. It might be easy to colour code when people are off. And again, you can just see it in one spread like this, which I think is really useful. School terms, again, we have 4 children and they go to different schools. Sometimes they have different inset days. They do have the same time off, but sometimes they have different days off within the school period. So, of course, we need to keep track of that. But also, we have family that have different school holidays. So if we wanted to plan anything with them, we can add that in as well. Birthdays, of course, if you've got a large family, pop them in. Might be that you work in a, I don't know, an old people's home or a school, and you want to track everybody's birthday. You've got more space to do that in here. It could also be a productivity tracker. So you might want to split these down, and you might be doing it for the year. You know, have you every day cleared your inbox, or have you every day, I don't know, cleaned something in the house? So you've got that, and you can work out your productivity. Health tracker, again, symptoms and health. I think when you're going through something health-wise, serious or non-serious, it could be anything. Like I suffer from hay fever, for example, but mine comes at certain times of the year that others don't. I don't suffer in the early half. I usually suffer around here. So there must be a pollen that comes out at this point that affects me more than over here. So it's really useful for me to work out when to start taking my medication to enable me to not feel those symptoms. And I've sort of dosed up, but not overdosing, because there's, you know, I don't need to take them in March, April, because I don't have the same symptoms in those months. So really useful, but also I'm getting older and I'm getting into that phase where perimenopause is starting to happen, potentially. So I want to keep track of things. I don't sleep very well. You could use this as a sleep tracker, actually. And that could overlap with health tracking. I could say how many hours a night I'm getting. And again, I can look for patterns. I think things like this, it's really useful when you want to go to somebody else and say, this is a problem, or this is a concern, or this is exciting, so you can show what you've got coming up. I've also put some others in here because there's more than 10 for this. It's a lot of people have these as like large planners, don't they, on their wall. So I feel like this is like a wall planner, but already in your own planners. Budget tracker, you might want to do that. I've said if using for work, it could be the management of the team, it might be team meetings, plotting everything in there. You know, 12-month plans are really, really important in work. It might be that you have like deadlines that you need to set. Release dates for your shop. I've got my own shop and I have this calendar, so I can put release dates, whether I want to open it, close it, if I want to put a sale on. All of those things can be planned in the yearly. Release dates of our favourite things. So if you've got a favourite shop, so even though you aren't, it might be that there's a release date for a book or a TV show or a new product, and you want to plot those in there. You want to make sure that you are ready. It might be a new phone or whatever that is. Or you could do, as I've said, like a book log, but rather than saying what it is, you could just say how many. So I know a lot of people who have a lot of books on their shelves. So it might be that they want to, in how many books are on the shelf, how many have gone, how many have read, you know, just keeping a track of how many rather than what it is, if that makes sense. So, I mean, this is so useful. I'm not a yearly planner. And I've never used this before, but when I sat down, I mean, I have, but for for things I was trying to fill it in. But now I've sat down, there's so much use for this. And they've given you all of this space here. Either you could either write, you've got 6 months here, so you could write down the patterns in the 6 months. You could put down what your goals are. You could write down a key. You could put a bit of memory planning in there. You could just doodle if you want to. So there's space to do all of that as well. Okay, moving on. Quarterly. So I already spoke about this in my video about how to use the Wonderland 222, but I think that this is really important because there's so much. There could be stuff that you want to do in your where you've got little room, but you might want to have more room. So I have 10 things here, and I'll show you as well some of the things that I'm talking about. So first of all, a budget planner. So you could have your incomings, your outgoings every month. You could see where all your bills are, and you could plot that out, see where your paydays are. And you can absolutely work out budget through this. I think this is a really good way of doing it. How I'm going to use it is a meal planner, like I've put here, and I'll put in and meals as in evening meals, because lunches and breakfast, we pretty much have the same thing. So evening meals, it could be that we're dining out, we've got a date night, or, you know, we're taking the kids out, whatever. And we want to do like meat-free Mondays. So it's plotting how to do that every Monday, making sure that we don't duplicate things all the time, because you can get into a rut, can't you, where you just make the same 5 meals that you enjoy every week. And actually, I want us to be a little bit more adventurous. So things like you can plot what recipes to try. It could be that you need monthly things. So monthly ingredients like spices or sauces or flour or butter or oils. So I feel like they're a monthly shop rather than weekly. So, you know, identify what those are at the beginning if you need extra ingredients, if you haven't already got them in. Or you could do it what's already in your pantry, so you could work out your meals from what's already there and then plot them in there. So what have I got left over? What things are in my freezer? How can I utilize what's in there and put it into these meals? So it's a really good way of using what you've got. Next up is birthdays, events. I mean, that's kind of a normal thing to use it for if you're not already using the other calendars for that. So it might be that you've got somebody's birthday, you've got a party for one of your kids' school friends, you might have a school awards night, or you might have a sports awards evening, or even a sports event, any of normal events throughout the year. So it could be that you can plot everything where you're not going to be at home, where you've got to do something, where you've got to get a gift, or where you've got to plan before, you've got to have certain outfits. So if you're somebody who's ultra busy, and I have a lot of friends who are, that go out a lot, then it's a really good way to do that. And then obviously you can either budget, you know, how much you've got for the year for events and stuff, how much tickets are, how much your gifts are, how much the items of clothing are going to be, if you need to rent anything. So you've got that at a glance. And when it's quarterly as well, sometimes you want to put things in that you want to capture, that you can see at a glance again, or you might want to plot it for a whole quarter. And it might be that you change things. So goals is another one. I know a lot of people that use this for goals. It might be a goal for fitness, or it might be multiple goals. So, you know, reading 1 hour per night, you might want to plot that in there. Completing 25% of your coursework if you're studying, and just making sure that that's done within there. But you overall in this quarter, the goal is that, and you don't actually have to marry them up to here, by the way. You can just have your goals as separate things if you want to. But if you wanted to complete 25% of your coursework, and then maybe 50% and then 100% within this quarter, you then can split that down and get your goals. And I think that's a really good way of doing it, you know, work-wise. We work in quarters and we have quarterly goals. So we need to know what we're doing in those quarters, and we can plot then project plan what's happening. I have a lot of deadlines at work, so I can put all the deadlines in. I can plot when the meetings are and what I need to do by those points. So the goals at work. Gratitude log. This is a really good one, and I think I'm going to use this for my B6 all-in-one self-care. I really like doing gratitude, but I don't want to spend too much time doing it. So, you know, you might be grateful for a crisp morning, or a doggy cuddle, or a lie-in, or whatever it is, and just add those in. And if there's anything that I'm more grateful for, or anything I want to highlight, I can put it in this side here, which I am definitely going to do in my B6. You might want to do your mood tracker here. Sorry, my door went. But I think, you know, there are other ways that you can track things if you want to go into more detail. If you want to, you know, it might be that it changes by the day. It might be changing very much within the day. You might have a morning and afternoon mood. So you want more space to put that in. So that's the possibility there. I've also said, like, study tracker. A lot of people use planners to study, whether that's at school generally, or it might be while they're studying for their masters or whatever. Could be a project planner, and I think this is really useful if you're decorating your bedroom. I'll talk about this later, but you might want to project plan using this, because you can see what happens. You might have a 3-month project and you want to just be able to see everything at a glance. Health and symptom tracker, similar to the other ones, but again with more detail. And it might be a month-by-month thing that you want to do. Maybe you're having treatment. Maybe you've got a 3-month treatment plan and you want to see where your appointments are and how you're going to, you know, how you're feeling. So it'll give you that overview for that quarter. And it actually just breaks it down into that, you know, you've only got 2 pages. If it's a 3-month plan, you just have to get through that if it's something that you're not looking forward to. And then it could be just a word of the day. You might have some, if you're somebody who likes that sort of thing, you could put a new word in of the day, and it might be that you write some notes alongside that, or you choose a word of the month that goes in here. You might want to doodle about it. There's so many possibilities with this one. So that's the quarterly. Again, this is exactly the same in every single planner, so you can use it all in the same way. So routine tracker, I know how I'm going to use it for my family one. I've already put that on that side, but it's going to be like mood and habits for the family, not just for me. But in my one, it's definitely mood and habits for myself, for the self-care planner. However, it doesn't have to be. Like, I can change it at any point. So I've got habit tracker. That's just an obvious. And then I've got the mood tracker. Again, I feel like that's an obvious one, and I have shown you that before. So, you know, you could mood track here or mood track here, whatever you want. Might want to put your habits in here and plot those. Then I've got social media tracking. Yeah, so it might be that you've got things like Instagram, or maybe you do YouTube, for example, and you just want to have your YouTube ones in there. Film, edit, upload, publish. And then you might have a subscriber count down here, and like here, subscriber count, for example. It might be a productivity tracker. So you put in what you do and make sure you do it daily, and then count up what you do daily and divide it by the amount that you've done by the amount that you should have done, and get your percentage score. What else have we got? Yeah, project plan. Let me just show you what I mean by that. So a project plan could be a wedding. I mean, it's a really good wedding planner, month by month. You can work out what the priority is here. And I've put in, for example, redecorating a bedroom. So buying paints, measure wall, paint walls, add bare wood panels, paint wood panels, paint doors, paint windowsills, paint skirting boards, for example. And, you know, if you think, oh, God, I've got to wait 3 days because the glue's got to dry on something or the paint's got to dry, so you can work out where it goes and you can plot it in and have it as a Gantt chart. And then you can have your budget below and how much things are going to cost. And, you know, it could be a complete project plan for that month. It shouldn't take you a month to redecorate your bedroom, but if it does, then you've got the plan in front of you. So those are different ways in which you can use that I might be using them. But you can also plan time off. If it's a team, you'll put different people's names in and then plot when they're off. Or it might be planning certain meetings that you need to have, that you have every month. Especially with teams. It might be that you have one-to-ones with certain people every month or every week that you want to do. Just make sure they don't clash. You might use it for mindfulness, and this is a different one, but it might be that you want to meditate, that you want to do miracle mornings, and it's not just a habit, it's very much focused on mindfulness. Study tracker, again, it could be a project plan or it could just be habits. It might be that you want to read so much of a textbook per day. It might be that you want to write so many words per day if you're doing a dissertation. So you've got that as a tracker. It might also be a countdown. So you might be using it to work out, you know, holiday. I've got 20 days till holiday and this is what I want to do. And then a medication tracker. You might have to take certain medications. I know people that are on warfarin have to go for regular updates, and they have different levels and they have to track those levels and how much it's working, and it all depends on everything, how you're feeling. So it might be that if you're on warfarin, then you might need to track that as well. Also, it might even be for insulin or anything like that. You might be tracking your bloods. So they're really, really useful. As I said, for mine, this is going to be habit and mood. But both for family and for myself. I just find them really useful in that way. And the fact that they're pre-drawn, it's just so much easier. Okay, so next up we have the overview and the review. The reason I've done it this way, although the December review overview came first, it's just easier to show you on both pages. So I'll start with the overview. So every month you get this in front, which is really good because in the Hobonichi you actually only get one page and it's blank. I love that this has been split down, and I have shown how I've used it before, but I've got other ways. So in the overview, you may want to forward plan. You might be doing lists and task planning. It might be that you want to forward plan your month. And what you want to achieve. So let me just show you. I've got all these pages that I've printed off just so that I could show you what it might look like or how to split it down. So I've put like to do, important, like what I want to read, to watch, to cook, or where to go. It might be a brain dump. I might already be putting out manifestations and affirmations in there. Health planning. So it might be that you want certain things. It might be that you have a certain weight loss goal, or you have a certain medication goal, or it might be to do with your mental health, you know, that you want to try and maybe go outside if you suffer from anxiety. Monthly goals, it could be split down into 4 because you've got 4-ish weeks in a month. You could do that by week, or you could do it by goal if you've got 4 goals. Definitely still task planning. You've got so much space in here, you could just do anything. You might want to do any family events, so split it down into the family members and put those in, just so you don't forget them. You might want to have, it might be people's birthday that you want to mention. It might be that you want to budget for that, and then budget overall. You might have a budget plan, so you might have an incoming, outgoing spend, bills, whatever it might be, or unexpected bills or whatever. So you've got that chance to budget for the month. Manifestation, Now, you can manifest different things, and I think you can ask the universe for different things. So you might have 4 that you want to break it down into, but you might just have 1. Just use the whole thing. Although these have been split down, there's nothing to say that you can't use the whole page as a page. They haven't given you any actual headings. And then a vision board. I actually like doing a vision board. I just print one out and stick it in. I find that really useful. And I feel like, and if I still want to write things in, then I'll just put it on a bit of vellum or a bit of paper that I'll just tip in. You might want to do a to try. So it might be things that you've not done before. So it might be that you want to try a certain food, or you want to try a certain style of, I don't know, a certain style of clothing. Just new things to you that you want to give a go. Study goals, absolutely. A bit different to your monthly goals, but if you're studying, this is a way to use it. Or work goals. And then I've put recipes, food, meal planning all in one go. So it might be that you meal plan, and you might say which breakfast you want, lunches, dinners and snacks. And they're the things that you might want to put into your meal plan next month. And recipes that you want to try. You might identify some that you really like the look of. So, for example, in this one, I've put, I actually like this one, which I might use in my B6, veggie recipes, meat recipes, because of course we've got one veggie day at least a week, and we love veggie recipes. New to try, meals we love, eating out, snack list, food goals, stuff like that. So that's what you can use for the overview. The review. So of course you've done this, and you might just want to reflect on what that is. So if you've done the recipes to try or things to try, what have you actually enjoyed? And I think that's really important, is using this front page, this overview, and then reflecting on it. But you don't have to. This could be completely forward planning, and then you don't even look back on it. I know people do reflections and resets. You could memory keep. You could absolutely do your journaling in here. If you didn't want to do journaling in the daily pages, this could be where you do it. If you're not somebody who likes to daily journal, you could commonplace actually, but I've not put that in here. It might be that you have favourite quotes or favourite things that happen during the month. Doodle of the month, you might want to put those in. You might like just a doodle page. Productivity reviews, brain dumping. Again, this is a perfect place to add in things where you're thinking, oh, I must do that for next month, but I just need to write it down before I start putting it into my January to-do list, or what the next month's to-do list. And then new things. I actually put this in because it's not something that I've thought of before, but I quite like the idea of it. So you might have gone, do you know what? I tried a new food. I've learned some new words. I've learned some new things. I've had some new moments in my life. You know, we're learning new things all the time. And if you want to move forward, and if you're somebody who really likes to think positively, this might be something that you want to reflect on. You know, what did I learn, and did I enjoy those things? And maybe you might want to put the new recipes in, or something you tried, or add that in. There is so much room for you to add those. Favourites. I love a favourite. And I actually do monthly favourites, or I used to do on YouTube. I used to do monthly favourites. It might be a favourite beauty product, or it might be a favourite food. So I really like doing that. And I might do that again, actually, on the channel. It might be that you've set out your goals and you want to say whether you've achieved those or not. Again, it might be the spend rather than the budget. So you might just want to budget, and then you can just reflect and see if you've achieved that. Or you might just want to do a family roundup. So you've already done your family events, but actually you want to identify like a little piece about each of your family member, if there's room. But I mean, you can split these down however you want to. You could just do like, you could either, if there's 4 people in your family, you could split them down by 4, or you could split each box by generation. So grandparents, parents, children, dogs, I don't know, whatever you want, pets. So that's a really good way. So I've got things here that I've, so we've got things like the reflections, you know, what was good about the month, what was challenging, what improvements could be made, and what rewards have you given yourself for doing those things. So there's your reflective way of doing it. And then this one, for example, which I probably will do more of, is you know, the completed tasks, what we're carrying over. You can memory plan in this area. You could doodle the productivity percentage if you're doing that. It might be how much per month your mood is. You could, you know, put it into a percentage. Have you reached your goals? Any highlights? Things like books read. If you're doing that, TV watch, it might be you've got a to read, to watch, to eat, and what you want to achieve, and those things then you can round up at the end. So it gives you that, it's more reflective, the review. I think that's a way to look at it. So that, God, we're up to, I think, 60 something, 20. I think we're up to potentially 60 at this point. Let's just go through them quickly, because I've done very quickly. We've done 1, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. So we're currently at 80 different ways to use this planner. That is actually quite crazy. So let's go on to the monthlies. Oh, this one, there's so many. There is so many. So again, I printed these off. I have really thought about this, because, you know, you may be looking at the blank page and you're really worried about what you're going to use them for. So in this one, you get this sidebar, and there is actually 31 boxes all the way down. So you could put a tracker in here if you wanted to. If you're using your routine trackers for something else, for project planning that month, if you want to put in your month here and you want to do your mood tracking, pop that in there. Or you could have a key down here, or you could even do little monthly trackers of, or weekly trackers for the month. It might be water, it might be tablets, whatever you want to do. So you could use a key, and you could use multiple things. So like this is when they're at school, you can schedule easily and just do it that way. Really simple way of using the monthly and just working out what things are going on in a month. You could do a doodle a day, a highlight of the day, and I will show you where I did that, because I absolutely loved my highlight of the day in there. Oh, kaplunk. I did that in this one. So I used to put one sticker, and then obviously the sticker reflected my highlight of the day or what was happening in that day, and I wrote in it, and I really liked it. But there's a lot of room here, you see. I feel like there's a lot of wasted room, and there's more room in here than there is in the Hobonichi. So you've got more to play with. You might just want to do a sticker a day, and I've done that before in my weeks. And especially with the A6, it's a bit smaller. The boxes are a lot smaller, so you might want to just use a sticker a day. Events, appointments. Now that is obvious, right? Oh, there's a birthday here. We've got, you know, loads of things coming up in this month, for example. Or we've got 4 birthdays, we've got a wedding, we've got a funeral, whatever, you put them in. We've got work stuff. And actually, that a lot of the time, that's what I do. I plot what's happening in the month, and then I just put those in quite high up, and then I do a highlight anyway of the day, so it's written around it. So I do a combination of things. Multi-tracker. So you might want to put a little key in and just put in, you know, water, exercise, shower, whatever it is, and just track in there. You have got quite a lot of space to do so. Gratitude log. And I think I'm going to, I am using my self-care one. I might use the gratitude in there and use the other one for something else. But I like this. You've got a meal tracker. So breakfast, lunch, dinner and snack. So you can actually do that every single day. You've got enough space to put in. And it might be that you're calorie counting. You might want to put your calories in there, which is a really good way of doing that. Quote of the day. You might just want to put something that you've heard and put that in, especially if you're commonplacing. I do like things like that. Book log, again, reading a book. Meal planning, spoken about that. Health planning, once again, took meds, felt good, slept well. You might want to be a little bit more descriptive. And there's more, okay? So you can journal. if you just want a little space, you could do a to-do list per day. If you're like me and you need just a few bullets per day, or it might be just the high priority ones. You could do a word of the day. You could do an outfit of the day. You could do, you know, there's things that you can plot out. You can either future plan, you can memory plan, you can current plan. It's such a useful space. There is so much you can do. And like I said, you can paint on this paper. You could do a painting of the day. They are so cute. If it's water-based pens, you can do a colouring of the day, whatever you want to. Absolutely love this for the monthlies. So now we're at, well, we're coming up to 100, so we're over 100, aren't we? Whew, weeklies. So I've already shown this, but I will show it again because I think it's really important. There are so many, but these are different ways in which you can use your weekly planners. And I have shown this before, so if this is the first time seeing my videos, it's the first time you've seen it. But there's so many uses for this. It can be used for anything whatsoever, anything, but it's a weekly view. So in this planner, you do have this sidebar. So you could put your priorities in there. You could put in a tracker. You could put in any trackers that you want to track. You might want to do a productivity tracker on here. This is only in the unstacked. However, if you've got the planner where you've got days in a vertical, even if you've got Saturday and Sunday stacked, you have the same sort of thing. Now, Saturday and Sunday stacked, you wouldn't have these top bits, but I use that mainly for me. I use it for to-do lists and quotes of the day, but you can still add them in. In my B6, obviously, I'm using it for self-care. So I want to have a bit more of a to-do at the top, which I will do. I may be putting in a bit more of, well, I'll show you. So in my catch-all planner, which is this one, I will probably be using it exactly the way that this is set out on this first column. My to-do list, I like to have 3 things and I can tick them off. I then plot any appointments, my work, also if Emma's work is happening on any of these days, I put it in. The school run, what's happening, if there's any after school clubs, if there's anything we need to do, cleaning, if there's anything we need to remember, walking the dogs. And I just like to plan my day out just so that I can it's more to get stuff done. But I also memory plan in a sort of way. I use this bottom column definitely more to put in a memory, or it might just be a thing to remember for the next day. So I've always used it that way. I've tried other ways in terms of for the family catch-all, and it just doesn't work. I like to use stickers. I like to sticker mine up, and I might do that continuously. So this is just showing you structure rather than how pretty you can make it. In my self-care, I'm probably just going to use it to journal. I've seen people journal in this way. The columns are about the same width as this, give or take a couple of mils. So I will probably journal. And I think it looks so pretty when people just with really neat writing, better than mine, journal. Or I might even do a bit of like how I'm feeling throughout the day. We'll see. And I'll keep doing things and changing things to see how they land. And there's like a cleaning schedule you might want to put in. People were really excited when I showed this. They were like, oh my God, you could put multiple schedules in. Yeah, absolutely. So if you've got more than one person, if it's a work one, if it's your home one, whatever it is, you can put in their times and put their schedules in. And it looks really nice if you use it a few different colours. You can still use stickers if you like, and add them in. And you can still plot stuff. You know, there's time that you can do that. So you can make it into more of a horizontal spread. And it might be that you have your goals at the bottom. I have put in, you can fit trackers in here, but I probably wouldn't. But if you wanted to, if you really wanted to put lots of weekly trackers in, you could. There's nothing to stop you. Like I said, you could put a quote of the day at the top there, the mood and the weather, your mood, the weather, they might be intertwined. You might want to say what you're currently reading, what you're currently watching in the day. You might want to do, again, your meal plan for the day. You've got so much room to do it. And it's the same with all of them. They all have the gap at the top. Then they have their 7 till 10 o'clock time scale, which I think is more than enough. You can add more time in if you want to. And then you've got your late night stuff at the end. Honestly, this is the best time for me, 7 till 10. I know a lot of people don't like it if they're doing shifts. You can add them in. There's 24 hours there. Or you can use a different calendar. You've got options to do that. Like I say, there was a lot here. There were so many that I didn't even put in tabs, because I would say there's more than 10 ways that you can use it. People do use it for to-do lists. People do use it just for work. People do use it for study. And like, you can split it down. You can split it down into more than one way if you want to. Like, we can have different schedules with somebody. You don't want to clash. And I do like to do a bit of a next week forward planning in my planners. So that is, I would say, an extra 10. So we're at 100 already. And then the daily pages. What can't you do with a daily page? Let's be honest. So, journaling is the obvious one. What's great about this is they are not dated. You have, in the all-in-one, you have a page per day, but you can easily use more than one, or you can not use any at all if you don't want to. So I want to journal again. I really love doing it. I did start last year and I really had the time of my life. You can see here, I just really enjoyed being creative and doing my daily pages. I honestly I worked really hard on these. I'd like to get back into it, but I don't want to make it strict on myself. And something that I started doing was commonplace journaling. So when things happened that I wanted to write down, and I used to just I used to split the page down so I could have like the quote and then say why it impacted me. So I had things like that, and silly things the kids did, or memes that I saw, or videos that I'd watched. So I do, I use them for commonplace as well. What I love about this is you can split it down into whatever you want. You do have your 24-hour clock. If that's something that you need, then you can time block. And I've put that on here as well, time blocking. But for me, this is just a creative brain dump place. Again, brain dumping, you can do that. You can paint, which I've said, and I've shown you. This paper is amazing with watercolour, and it's so thin you wouldn't think it, but it just isn't absorbent. It just doesn't go through. If you leave it to dry, and it does take a little time to dry, it goes a little bit crinkly, but after a while, it then goes back to a normal page. Like I showed you in here, we have it's flat again. And I felt like it was, so look, it hasn't ruined anything. Nothing's faded. And I really loved that I could paint in here. And I have others that I've painted in before. I just think if you're somebody creative that wants to paint, you can do. It might just be notes. And actually in my other planners where I've got notes pages, it is just notes. I do take notes for work. I do take notes for things when I'm talking to it might be a packing list that I put together. To-do lists are very useful. And I love that they are not dated, but it does mean if you want to go back to it, then, you can put a date, but if you want to go back to it, you've got a page number and you can just go to your index. You can use it for pen tests. You could use it for daily reflection if you want to do it that way. There is a bajillion possibilities. It might as well be a blank page. You have got lots of Tomoe river paper here. Anything that you want to try out, you can do. You might just want to put some stickers in. You might just want to put visualization boards, manifestation. There is so many things that you can do with these pages, and having one per day is wonderful if that's the sort of thing you want. My self-care one, I probably will be a bit more, it's very personal, so I will be doing that in my daily pages in the B6 all-in-one. In my thinner ones, you don't get as many pages, but you still get a good few. Like, you could split that in half and still get a year out of it, or a quarter per thing. But for me, this is definitely going to be used for notes. It's going to help me to identify things. It might be really useful for creating new ads or whatever it might be for content. So that there is that option. This is, oh, book reviews as well. So in my A6, this is where, and I did this last time, I do read my books and then I go into my notes and I do a mini review and give it how many stars I want to. So I feel like I have taken you through Wonderland 222 planners. And I have shown you over 110 ways in which you can use these planners. I hope that has helped. I hope that the blank page isn't so daunting for you. If you have enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. I know that it's been an extra long video. If you would like to subscribe, then please do, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.